guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. We have an amazing guest, casting director slash casting associate, Seth Caskey. You know him. He just finished casting Close Up on Freeform. You know him from the show Glow, American Princess, so many others. Bring him back on so we can have a full-on discussion, get to know him, and get to know about the world of casting. Come on on.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm so well, thank you. Thank you
I'm
so much
so
for inviting me to be here today.
Of course, of course. I just love what you cast. I love your taste in actors. But you know what I really love right now? I love the background. I know some people are just gonna hear this and not look at this on YouTube. But can we just talk about this for a second? Because life has changed and actors need to have great background, great sound. I know you address it on your Instagram page. But tell me what is going on here? It looks so freaking amazing.
Well, thank you so much. Well, you're actually in my spare bedroom that I have now converted into my office now that we're in quarantine times. But yeah, I'm a camera nerd. It's something that I have always been into. I spent some time doing some videography and video production for a couple of years. And so have a bunch of gear lying around my house. And so when I was going to be working from home and we were going to be doing a lot of Zooms and video conferencing, I'm like, let's put it to use. And so that's what I've
Wow.
done here.
I
Um,
want your camera nerdiness. I love it, love it. Go ahead.
yeah, so the camera that I'm using, the great thing about laptops these days is that you can connect a DSLR or an external web camera to your laptop. So you don't have to just use the built-in camera that's on your MacBook. So what I have is a DSLR, a Canon DSLR. That's what I happen to shoot and own, with a 50 millimeter lens on it. And so that's what gives it this wonderful sort of depth of field, blurry background.
It's
And I have it just any camera that you have that has an HDMI signal out, that if you're able to shoot HDMI on any camera, you will need a converter that converts the HDMI signal to a USB signal that you plug into your computer. And you can get those for, $100, $150 on Amazon. A good brand is called Camlink.
wow.
Yeah, and then you just plug it in, and then you do have to go in and kind of fiddle with some settings within your computer to get it to recognize that camera, and then once it does, you can
You're
come on
so
and have
recognized.
this.
You are so it's just so incredible. And do you have lights around you too right now, or do you have a
I
ring light?
do, I do. I brought. I'm not using a ring light. I actually brought one of the fixtures from our office home since we weren't going to be there, and this is one of
Oh,
the lighting fixtures that we have in the office. It's just an LED. It's about 10 or 12 inches LED panel
yeah.
that I've got an umbrella on, so it creates a big softbox. So that's what gives it this nice, really diffused look, and it's not really harsh shadows. And then in the background, I have a couple of little fixtures that are multicolor LEDs, just to kind of throw some color in the background to add a little
It just
depth
looks
back there.
amazing. So now
Well,
every
thank you very much. And we came on for our first meeting with the executive producer and the director was like, Seth, you're going to have to turn your camera off when the actors come in because they're going to be so self-conscious that their setup does not look that good. So for most of the time, my camera was off, so nobody got to see it.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so incredible. So
Well,
who's ever
thank you.
listening to this must go onto the YouTube right now, you guys, just to see it. It's worth it. It's a selling point. I mean, you were you an actor? Because
I
you're so
was. I
see
was.
the diction of one, you have the energy of one, you have the passion of one. Yes. So tell us your story a little bit.
Oh, my story. How long do we have, Sherry?
Well, we don't have that long. I always like to kind of go into the life-changing moment because
Hmm.
when we're doing scripts and classes, your character always has a life-changing moment that has led you to where they are today. So a short little story to that life-changing moment that led you into the casting world.
Sure. Well, acting was always something that I was interested in. I did theater in high school and college, and sort of that was pursuing a professional career as acting as an actor was always something kind of that floated around in the back of my brain. So in 2006, I moved from the East Coast to LA to do that, to train while I was out here. I got my SAG card. I booked my CoStar, booked a pilot, Really just sort of scratched that itch for me,
Mhm.
and was out here for almost 6 years doing that. During that time, to market myself as an actor and to get to know casting directors, I was interning in some casting offices. I was volunteering as readers at different studios and for different sessions with casting directors. And so got to experience the casting process as an actor. It was really for me just to get more experience of being in the room, just to see what happens and goes on between, as an actor, you put all this pressure on yourself. You get this one appointment that you've got 5 minutes to go in, and it's like the weight of the world is on you, or you feel
Yes.
that you walk into that room. It's hard to be present when you walk into that room. And so for me, it was the more I could be in that environment and kind of get comfortable with it. When I had the appointments as an actor, I would go in and be like, oh, I totally know what's going on. None of this that's happening in the office has anything to do with me. They have 9,000 other things going on. Great, I can come in, do my work, leave and go home and have a great rest of the day.
Such
But
a great, smart move.
yeah, but during that, I really loved it. I really got to like the process of it. I mean, I'm a creative person, but I'm also a very organized. I love my lists. I love details and to do lists and checking things off. And casting it scratches both sides of my brain. It's a creative job because you do have to know actors. You have to understand performance. You have to be creative, but then you also have to be very logistical. I mean, a lot of casting is administrative,
Yes.
scheduling sessions, making deals, writing contracts, making lists, so for me, it was like, oh, wow, this is the thing that lets me do everything.
Ah.
Um,
Wait, where
yeah,
was it in that moment? What was that moment though? Was there one particular office you were doing that for and you went, oh my God, it's just all coming together?
well, so I took a little bit of a detour. So in 2011, I decided I was, I had done, I booked a pilot the year before, 2 years before, that
Which
didn't
one?
end up going. It was called, it actually went to series. It was called The Event. It was an NBC
I
series. It
remember.
was a one season series.
I remember
Jason
this.
Ritter, Blair
Yes.
Underwood. Yeah, it was a really fun show.
Yes.
And I did that, and I kind of felt like what I realized as a result of that experience. And all the actors who are listening are going to think this is the most bizarre thing that I'm going to say, but I think this is the defining moment, and I haven't ever articulated it until now.
Incredible.
I realized while I was working on that show that I liked auditioning and I liked trying to get the job more than I did actually doing the job,
I
if
love
that makes any sense.
it. It does though. You like the game of it.
I did, and I liked the process of it, and I just there was something about it that I wasn't having as much. It was the biggest role I'd ever booked. Like I
Mhm.
wasn't having as much fun. I wasn't feeling as fulfilled as I should have been feeling in that moment with the opportunity that I had been given. And that just caused me to go, maybe this isn't for me. Like maybe continuing to pursue trying to be an actor and be on screen isn't what I need to be doing. Well, if
Interesting.
that's not what I'm going to be doing, then maybe I could do something else from somewhere else. And
Wow.
so yeah.
Did you feel
Yeah.
like when you were on set that you weren't having, usually actors feel like the stress is gone after they get the job. The stress factor comes into the audition and the nerves that go on. And then when you land on set, it's just, I know when I was an actress, you get the job and you're just so mellow. You didn't feel that.
It was the complete opposite for me, truthfully. And I think that part of that came from I got so used to being in the room as a reader or as an unpaid intern or assistant in casting that got to be very familiar and very easy to me. And that did not cause near as much anxiety as walking on set because you don't get to practice being on set. I mean, you can do student films, you can do, I've done a couple web series and worked with friends on things, but being on set, you kind of don't really get that opportunity until you have the opportunity to do it. And so all of that pressure of there's hundreds of people, they're depending on me to get this right the first time, making sure my eye lines are right. Like I was so in
Right.
my head and
Oh.
so unable to be present in the
Mhm.
moment that it was
Too stressful.
It was extremely stressful. It was extremely stressful.
So this is basically advice is go get a series and then go into casting.
Yeah, I mean,
What I love about
but I
this story,
but I think for me, I needed to go through that process. Like I needed
of
I
course.
answered that question for myself of is acting what I'm. It is making film and television is what I am supposed to be doing. Like
Mhm.
that is what I have always wanted to do is be involved, television specifically.
No,
And
it's
I
a
needed to go through the
yes.
process of seeing it from being the actor to know, oh, I can still be a part of making television, but I don't have to be the person on the screen.
It is such an incredible aha moment that you've expressed right now to everybody who's listening, and I love that because you know what, you can start somewhere. I started as an actress too, and then I found my life in coaching, and I couldn't have been happier.
Hmm.
So to find that, and then to be lucky enough to find it, and then be lucky enough to be successful at it, and to live in the joy of what you love doing, it's magical.
I couldn't. I have the best life. I
Yes.
love my job. You know, I'm on Instagram, and that's kind of one of the tags that I always put in my post because I love what I do, and it's
Well,
what I was supposed to be doing the whole time. I
yeah.
just had to. I had to get there. I had to go on a journey to get there, and I'm
Yes.
so excited and thrilled that I've landed where I've landed.
You know, it's so interesting because I was thinking about talking with you today, and I thought when I was an actress, and I have a lot of casting director friends because now I'm an acting coach. I don't have that that neediness that I guess I carried around when I was an actor,
Mm.
and I always put casting directors sort of on a pedestal, and I get nervous and all this, but I don't feel that because I'm in a different place. So, what kind of message can you tell actors to not feel that bullshit because we're all the same and we all need each other?
I think you just said it. I mean, I think that is that's the thing to remember is I can't do my job without you as the actor. You know, if, talking to an actor, you can't get your next job or your next opportunity or your sort of casting directors and casting professionals are kind of the people who are able to give you those opportunities. And so we both need each other. And you know, I tell actors this all the time. I'm hoping, and even when I was an actor, I heard casting say this, and it was hard for me to understand or really believe. I am hoping that you are the answer when you walk in the door. I am rooting for you from the minute you walk in the door. Please be this. Please, I want you to do well. I want you to be this character in a way that is undeniable, that everybody who sees this audition is able to say, yes, this is the person that we need to hire for this job. Every single person that walks in the door, that's how I feel when they walk in the door. And so if there's a way that the actor can trick themselves into believing that, or find a way to believe it, or hear me as I say it and believe it,
Well, you're
that
so talking to you, you're so accessible and vulnerable and open, and you feel so present. It's not that experience all the time with everybody in as casting directors. So it's a blessing. I am excited for all the actors who get to interview for you because you seem so amazing. Which is it. You do need each other, and to have that openness to actors makes them feel calm and more open to being their best selves too.
and I think and thank you for saying that. And again, I think that comes from the fact that I have been in their shoes. I've been on that side of the room before. I know exactly what you're feeling when they're feeling when they walk in the door. I also happen to be very blessed to work in a very actor friendly office. Liz Barnes, who I work with most, is married to an actor. Tanis Valley another casting director in our office. She's a former child actor, so
Oh,
we get it. Like our office gets it, and that is just sort of the energy and attitude that we try and bring to every session. That we respect what you do. We ask that you respect what we do, and understand that we need each other. I would say, you know, yes, unlike like any job, it comes with its stresses.
hmm.
And yes, you could absolutely walk into our office on a day when it has been a nightmare of a day on
Hmm.
another show, on something that has absolutely nothing to do with this part that we are having a session for right now. Understand that whatever kind of residual
Yeah,
energy I bring with me
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
That it is completely, it's me processing, working through my day on something
It's
else.
so hard for actors, and we're both. We were actors, so you understand that we're sensitive human beings. And
Mm.
so you're walking in with your heart on your sleeve, and then you walk into energy that is feeling stressful. And if you grab on and take that energy, you're just going to fail in your storytelling. And it's really
Hmm.
about get up, get in, do your story to the best of your ability, and get out. When you say it's a nightmare of a day, what does that mean? That an actor didn't show up, that they have to recast the role, that they rewrote a role? What does that mean? What does that look like?
It could be, yes, all of those things. We find out that the person that we want to test is passing on the deal, and so now we have to go find another person to test for the role. So it can be someone didn't show up for work, or like I was saying earlier, casting is it's creative, but it's also very administrative. So there's a deal making process, and it gets there. There does get to be some sort of businessy stuff, and that stuff for some people, that's more difficult to do than the creative, fun list making, reading with actors, and that's the fun stuff, and that's the stuff that we kind of can walk into and just be. And then when it comes to sort of doing some of this other sort of administrative stuff, that can just get very challenging. And so, yes, a nightmare of a day. You may have to deal with. I just got yelled at by an agent on the phone about an offer that I was making to an actor, and they thought that it was, it should have been more, or they aren't willing. It can be a million different things, or
Yeah.
having a problem with the studio, or yes, we've gotten a rewrite and now we have four more roles to cast for this episode that shoots tomorrow, and they need them in wardrobe by the end of the day. And like, I had my whole day planned out seeing people for something else, and now I have to pivot and either put out a breakdown or get people in to do the other thing. And so it's, especially when you're in series on something, things are constant. You only have a certain number of days to cast an episode, and so you sort of, everything kind of has to work, and when it doesn't, you have to be able to adjust.
Yeah.
But that adjusting can sometimes cause stress, for sure.
So pre-COVID, when an actor would walk in a pre-read, do you feel like it's different in a pre-read than a producer session? Do you like when an actor walks in? And even now, we'll address doing it on Zoom, and talk to me about having Zoom sessions. Do you like when an actor comes in and talks and tells you stories, or you just want to get right down to it, get adjustments, and then go? What's your preference?
um I would say, I think there's a difference between be. I think an actor should. I always like an actor who's friendly and polite and is comes in the room and is like, "Hey," especially if it's someone that I've known, that I've read before, or that I've worked with before. "Hey, it's good to see you. How's your kid? Or I heard you got married, or you moved, or something." I think there's definitely room for a second or two of like
Connection.
reconnection,
Yeah.
just a beat of like, "Hey, come in." And I feel like our office is very aware of that, and we try and give an actor, "Please set your stuff down here. Is there any questions?" Like, just to kind of give everybody a minute to breathe and become present. I think that finding that moment is important.
Mhm.
Carrying on into a chatty conversation and telling me all the things that you did, blah 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 blah, like, stretching out that moment.
Mm.
I especially when I was doing this, having people physically come in the room, I only have a finite window of time in which I need to see all the people. And so we tend to schedule our sessions.
Yes.
We tend to overschedule our sessions because we know some people may not show up, or some people are going to be late or need to reschedule. And so I'm just trying to move through those actors as quickly as possible to get to my next thing.
Yeah.
So
So a
I think
little
you have
bit.
to find a balance of being friendly and professional, friendly and polite, but also professional, and know that this is a job interaction at this point.
Yeah.
When you're coming in, it's, "Hi, come in, do your thing." And I think take the cue from either the casting director or the pilot we just did. Our one of our EPs, we were doing it via Zoom, and one of our EPs sort of took the lead on talking to actors as they came in, and sort of apologizing for how weird it was, and sort of trying to make them feel as comfortable. I think take the lead from the person in the room who's talking. And if they're like, "Hi, welcome, thanks for being here we go," like clearly they want to move it
Do the
along
work.
and not do the thing and just come in and do the work and then leave. But if they're engaging and chatty, then I think sort of read the room that way.
Yeah. So how has it changed now on Zoom? And can we talk, address a little bit of the importance of that waiting room? Because I'm sure when you were reading actors live, you could see the waiting room can suck the life out of you. And then verse, right, the same thing on Zoom. I mean, I have actors who train and coach and then they test for shows on Zoom. So let's talk about that waiting room and what's some advice that actors should do in that waiting room instead of suck the life out of themselves.
I mean, yes. The nice thing about the Zoom waiting room now is that you aren't sitting there looking at every other person that has been at every other audition that you've had over the last 6 months, because you're all the same type and you all get called in on the same thing. Now you just sort of are waiting in this sort of black hole of, when am I going to come in next? It's challenging. I mean, I've loved Zoom. I love Zoom selfishly because my sessions fall apart a lot less frequently. Because I'm not having to worry about people that are in Santa Monica for a commercial audition and then have to drive all the way to Burbank to be my office, and then testing at Warner Brothers at 4, like trying to coordinate physically moving around LA. Now it's people can log on and off from their
There's no
we had
excuse to
several
be late.
people from their cars.
There's no
I
excuse
mean,
to be late
there's
anymore. You just cannot be late.
no, you cannot be late. And that, if you, the likelihood that if you get material the day before or 2 days before, you're going to still be in that session and not try and push it. So selfishly, I've loved it from that because I've gotten to sort of, been able to get through a lot more people and not have to have so many reschedules. In terms of the actors,
Yes.
I will say, and our director, I just did a pilot, another freeform pilot. Leslie Headland was the director, and she's Russian Doll is the
Oh,
series that most people might know her from. I mean, she's done a million things, but that's sort of one of the most recent things that she's done.
right.
And she had the observation, and I totally agreed, that we got better auditions from people
Mm.
over Zoom than sometimes you get in the room with people, because people are in their homes. They're in an environment where they're comfortable. They haven't had to sit in traffic. They haven't had to sit in a waiting room and stare at other people. That they're able to sort of do their prep and be in an environment, have a candle lit, have a glass of water or whatever, be in your space to do your craft, and then boom, the thing comes on and you do your audition and then you go about your day. That there's not You're not walking into a room of six strangers and feeling all the weird energy and like trying to kind of, the things that can cause
And
actors to get in their head about stuff. All
yeah,
that stuff isn't there anymore, really.
silver lining, silver lining, silver lining.
I think so, and I think, again, if you yes, the Zoom process does put a lot more onus on the actor, and that is challenging because now it is up to you to make sure you have a good camera and you have good audio and you have good lighting so that we can see you, and that the audition that you present is the best possible. Because that's, in this situation, we tested people from
Yeah.
their bedrooms
Yes.
or living rooms at
I have a
Studio
question.
Network.
I have a question. What
Yeah,
happens if someone's internet fails and they're on a Zoom meeting in the middle and they freeze? Has that happened, or has everyone been
it
able
has. It has.
to sign off and come back on? What happens?
We've done it a couple of different ways. I think depending on, I'm on my phone and I really can't get to a place. I'm not on my laptop. Like they're for whatever reason in a position where they aren't able to hardwire in or get to a laptop or get to guaranteed better internet. If that's the case, then we will either reschedule them and have them come into another session
Okay,
when
great.
they're able to get to a place, or have them self tape. That was kind of okay. If you're, in Wyoming, wherever, quarantining in the middle of nowhere, like just self tape it and get it to us when end of day today, or first thing in the morning. That way we have something that's just better quality.
I think every actor needs to have a hotspot on their phone because with a hotspot, it's so helpful.
It's so helpful. But even then, I mean, my recommendation was one of the very first. You mentioned my Instagram
Yes,
videos, which I need to get back to. I took a break from it when I started this pilot,
they're
but I need to
so
get
good.
back to
What's
them.
your Instagram handle? Is just Seth Caskey. One?
Hmm.
What is
Hmm.
it?
No,
Your
it's just Seth Caskey, all
your name.
lowercase, all what? Yep, yep,
Fascinating
yep,
information on there for
yep.
actors. Go to.
But the first one I did was about having a wired connection. Like that is my number one first recommendation to any actor. Get a $50. I mean, mine was $50, but it's 50 feet. You know, internet cable to hardwire your laptop into your router modem. It's
Yes.
just going to make that connection so much more secure and stable, and that you don't have to worry about it
Yeah.
when you get that appointment.
So important. Life has changed. Do you think it's going to go back to in room, or do you think it's going to stay like this for a very long time?
Uh, I think at some point, not not soon,
Hmm.
we will go back to. I do think there is value to getting people in a room
Of
together.
course, the human connection. We crave it as
Yeah,
crave it.
yeah, and I think you can do a chemistry read with two actors on Zoom. We have done it,
Mhm.
but I do think that there is something about getting those two people physically in the same space that I think once we're able to do that safely,
Yeah.
we will do. But in
Yeah.
terms, I think self taping, I think pre reads are gonna be virtual or self tapes kind of
Oh, you do.
forever. I mean,
Forever.
and I look at it from this. I'll give you this example of this pilot. After 4 days of releasing the breakdown on this last pilot, I had more than 200 self tapes already in.
Wow.
There's no way we would have been able to physically see that many actors in 4 days.
Mm-mm.
Right? So it just allowed us to cast a wider net to see people that we may not have we may have been on the fence on. I don't know if she feels exactly right. Well, let's have her self tape and just see. It opened the opportunity up for more actors to be seen. And I think when you're in series on something, the turnaround time is so quick that if I can do a self tape and I can have a whole session of 50 people come in and read for this CoStar, this recurring CoStar, and see those 50 people in 2 days, I just feel like that's going to be. I feel like that's going to start being the way things are done more
I have
so
a
than
question about
trying to do these in
yeah.
persons.
My question is this, because as a casting director, the job of the actor is to come in and build trust with you. Build trust so you can trust that they're not going to be crazy, crazy on set. Because aside from the fact of having to be really good, if they're too weird or you get a weird sense, hell no, you're not going to cast them in this role. So how do you sense that on Zoom? Is it just has to be a guttural feeling? Because there's no way to really tell. I've
Yeah,
stumped him.
that's it. No, I mean I think you make a good point, and I think it's yes, part of what casting is doing is we're vibing people out, right? We're sort of vibing them out from a talent and a craft standpoint, and we're also vibing them out as humans. And I think
You can tell.
you can get a lot over Zoom. It is not 100%. It is not as good as being in person, but I think you can kind of vibe a person out over Zoom. I
You
think if there's a real question, then that's sort of how we use social media is
uh,
okay, let's just if we don't, especially if it's someone that we don't know,
yeah.
and this is someone that we're putting up for a series regular on a show that we're like, where do they come from? What else have they done? We try and of course get all of their materials and get a sense of them as an actor, but then like let's just go see how they're sort of what they're saying about themselves in the world. And
Yeah.
so we'll Facebook and Twitter and Instagram just kind of look and
Yeah.
get to know an act, try and get to know an actor that way of who is this person's personality, not on set.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me because
Yeah.
it is about building trust and gosh, I just can't say enough to actors that the way you enter a room and the way you exit and the way you behave during that time, do you agree with me? It is so crucial. It's
Yeah.
the thing. How do you feel about an actor when they started their script and then they stop? Oh my God, I got to do it again. Are you in the mindset of yes, you bobbled, start again, or just gather it? It's not a big deal. Go to the end. We get nerves. We get that happens sometimes. Get back to your thoughts.
The answer to that question is somewhat case by case.
Okay.
You know, if it is, I'm trying to think about how I best want to say it. If it's a one or if it's a co-star,
Yes.
right? Just finish it,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to be two lines. Great, you mess up on it. Great, let's do it again. Let's get it up. Because then it becomes more about, oh, I forgot the and then it just becomes more like, okay, I want to know that you're not going to be weird and do that in front of a director on set and like
And
halt
try to get to
production
the joke.
because
Yeah. Yes.
of this. You know, it depends on the project too. You know, and so if it's a bigger part and you some some people like you to be absolutely word perfect and get it all out. Some people are like, you know, it's fine. You know, kind of. You know, this last pilot that we were on, Leslie and Jenny both, they're improv people, and so they were like, if you don't hit all the lines perfect, it's fine. If you think the joke is better, if you have something better to say, like make it your joke. Like they were super loosey goosey about
Mhm.
sticking to the lines, and so I think that freed up the actor not to feel like they had to be word perfect and in the page. I think as long as it's not distracting, like if it's we get a sentence or two into the material and you're like, sorry, can we just take that back? And it's done professionally, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can we stop and reset? Great. And then take your breath and then get it the second time. Is how I feel. It's like if we're gonna stop and you're gonna stop yourself, great. I can appreciate that. But then now take whatever beat you need to take to get rid of whatever it was that caused you to go up on the line so that we can get a clean take.
Do you feel
I don't
like
know if that was
sometimes
helpful.
no, there's no right or wrong answer, and I don't want to stress you out by any means, but you feel like sometimes, and it's a very we're all human, and nerves are a thing, and they get in your way. So, do you feel like sometimes, because I know in classes sometimes it happens that a student will be doing something, and in the middle they just go, "I got to start again," when it was a glorious take. It was glorious. So sometimes you don't know on the outside what's going on. So I think it's really tricky. And I think it's, to me, I used to be of the note of you're off your game, start again. But now I'm on this. Just have a thought and get back on your train, and you'll be fine. Because most of the time, people don't even know. And isn't it human nature? Doesn't it feel more entertaining if someone bobbles a line, laughs at themselves, and continues?
Yes, and to your point, it is that's such a wise thing to say, and it's something that you see all the time. That it's like this is so amazing, and then like the actor, you don't have any perception of what the camera is seeing or what casting is seeing. What you shouldn't. Like if you're in your head enough to like know exactly what you're doing, then it's probably not a great read anyway. But if you're in the moment and you've done the work and you're sort of riding whatever the emotion is that you're feeling, you have no idea what we're seeing. And it could be so amazing. And then to when you pull yourself out of it to be like, oh, I messed up the word, it's like, oh no, we're never gonna get that take again because it's we could do it again, we get it clean, and that's fine. And I've had that happen plenty of times
Yes.
that we will do that and I'll still show the first take and be like, he doesn't quite make it to the end, but like just what we had at the beginning was amazing. Like just look at that part of the scene. So you yes, I it's a fine line. I think if you're going to if it's going to trip you up so much that you are get in your head so bad that you're just it's going to be terrible, then you have to stop. Like you just have to stop
It's so
because
tricky because once you stop, you better frickin' be better.
yes, yes, you have to get rid of whatever it was that was messing with you, and then let's get back in it because that's what you have to be able to do on set. And that's what I couldn't do. I couldn't get out of my head on set. And so you got to practice it now. Use that audition room to practice what it's going to be like on set when you've got hundreds of people and dollars being spent and people running around and you've got to get it in one take. Like practice that in the
Yeah,
room.
so important. How do you
Yeah,
feel about actors on their self tapes? And I sort of want to adjust self tapes just for a little bit.
sure.
Aside from, of course, sound and lighting, how do you feel about the behavioral life of that character? A little bit of an essence of it? Or do you like the actor just to be straight on, just because it's an audition? I'm of I like to do everything outside the box. So I think a three-dimensional life of a character is incredibly important, but each office, and that's why I do these as a give back, so people can get to know your likes and dislikes because everyone's different.
Hmm.
How do you feel about that? What does a good self-tape look like for you?
So my feeling is nobody wants to watch an audition.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to watch a scene.
Mm-hmm.
They want to watch a human being in having a moment, having an experience, living life.
Mm.
And so, whatever you need to create that for yourself, that's what I want to see, especially in a self tape environment, right? I mean, our office, when we were seeing people in person, we love a prop, So we'd have a props
You
there
do.
for
I love you guys
actors.
so much for saying that because it's an extension of the character's life. Yes.
Yes, and if it's it and if it helps ground you in that moment, like we were doing, we had to we were doing Blood and Treasure. That was the first one I think we did it on, and the actors had to like in the scene she had to smash a pot on the ground and like it was an antique pot, and she was showing people that it was a fake, and it was so watching actors first come in and like throwing nothing. It
Yeah.
was like, why? So we handed them a tissue box and we're like, throw the tissue box on the ground. Like it just helped ground them and gave them something to do. So if a prop is helpful in that way to ground you in that moment, I'm all about using a cell phone. Sure, if it calls for a cell phone, get your cell phone. Don't
Yeah.
cover your face with it. Don't talk here with it, but use the phone because that's just going to help ground you in that moment. So I think whatever prop wise, I don't think, you don't need to go all out with the wardrobing yourself in what this person would wear, but a suggestion of that. If it helps ground you in that moment,
Yeah.
I'm all for an actor using it. And especially if it's on a self tape, like that's at your house or wherever you're doing it. Like you're not bringing that into my office and I have to deal with all your things. Like that's on you
I
to
always
do that for
say,
yourself.
and I always say for in person and at home, I think you could do so much more as long as you stay and keep it simple. But I tell actors, for guys, well, for everybody, a backpack because you could take a backpack off. It's part of your body. A phone, a backpack, and a little sling bag for women or even
Hmm.
guys if you want to hold a sling bag because in that bag is ingredients that tell us of the story of your character. So maybe your character does have an obsession, has to put on the lip gloss, but it's all compact around you. So you're not coming
Hmm.
in and, sprinting with props through an office. It's just really contained. I think there's a fine line of that, but I think
Hmm.
it's so important. So you're not stiff.
Exactly. And you look like a three-dimensional human being living
Yeah.
a moment. To that point, if you want to use a lip, put on the lip gloss, great. And it's not specifically called for that at this moment she puts on lip gloss.
Yeah.
Make sure that you've rehearsed that. I think that's where I think actors can get tripped up sometimes. That they're like they feel a need to do something special or something more. Great if that helps you in the scene, but do make sure that that's something you've thought about or
Before.
planned ahead of time because it's digging through the bag looking for the lip
Practice,
gloss is
practice
too
exactly
distracting.
outline that you have that thought.
Yeah.
It leads you to do this, and you
Yeah.
can repeat and do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Consistency is really important.
Hmm.
How do people get in touch with you? Are you open? Do you like messages on Instagram? How do actors reach out to you? What is acceptable for you, or what is boundaryless for you?
So I do make myself pretty accessible on Instagram is my social media of choice. I mean, I'm on Twitter. I have a Facebook account that I never go on.
Does anybody?
Instagram is. My mom.
Okay.
I mean, I have one because I've had it for years, and it does exist, but I don't check it that often.
Right.
Instagram is sort of how I interact with everyone in the social media world. And then I do also have if there's an actor who wants to send me their materials,
Oh,
because Instagram is kind of hard sometimes to send me a demo. I mean, actors will tag me and stuff if they've gotten new pictures. I'm totally fine with that. If you want to share things that you've worked on, or clips of things that you're putting up on your social media, I'm totally fine with you including me in that. But if you want to send me more formal materials, links to your demo, pick and resin, that sort of stuff, I have my own website, which is again just my name, sethcaskey.com. And there's a contact section. And then once you go to that page, there's a bar to the left that's specifically for actors, where they can tell me, you can tell me who your reps are, you can give me all your reps information,
it's amazing.
links to everything, and then it all feeds into my internal database. So I can't promise that I am able to respond to everyone that does that, but know that it gets processed and sort of it now becomes part of the
So
stuff
you're
that I keep.
looking, so you're open and you're looking for new talent at all times.
100%. I
100.
think everyone should be. I mean, that's my job, right? My job is to find the next person, or that's what every show that I've worked on is. Who's the actor who we haven't seen before? I mean, you mentioned American Princess when you made your introduction. Like, that was a wonderful show that they didn't, even Glow too. Like, the producers on those shows didn't want to see people who look like actors. I didn't want to see people who had been on every procedural in town. Like, they wanted new faces. They wanted really fun, interesting people and charactery. They just wanted people that were new, or we didn't really know, or who had been doing their thing, that weren't
Yeah.
overexposed in a way. And so yes, there's I can only know so much, and I can only look through a submission and see so much. So I have to, everybody in the office has to have their own sort of list of people that they're excited about and that they want to find jobs for, and that they've, gotten to know either through an open call or through, meeting a way that we can go to that.
You don't get inundated. You must get inundated with so many emails.
That's why I have it sort of. I used to, and that's why I sort of separated it out, and now have this sort of form that. Yes, it all gets fed in, but it's not something that I have to constantly process and go through as my inbox, where I'm dealing with agents and managers and studio execs, like the stuff where I have to do my day to day business, like that. I keep separate from
Yeah.
my communication with actors. Yeah.
I love that you're so open. What's your take on if you in your office you hire an actor for a co-star, then you hire them for a guest star, then you bring them back for a smaller co-star? Does work beget work in your opinion, or should actors be aware of building from co-star to guest star? What's your feelings about that?
Yeah. I think it's. I think work begets work. So I think you're right. I think you do have to
Stay open.
stay open to it. I mean, like I look at it, I sort of have to look at it even in compared to my own career. Like, some jobs I'm a casting associate, some jobs I'm a co-casting director. And it's like I'm willing to do one and then go back down and do another one, because like it's for whatever reason. And I think that's that the actor would look at that and say, is this a show that I want to be a part of? Is this a director that I want to work with? Is this, in our office, yes, once you kind of make it onto our list of people that we've hired, we're going to keep trying you for everything. And we may book you as a guest star and be like, oh my God, wouldn't it be so amazing if he would come back and do this co star? I'm going to ask. You can say no, but I clearly like you as an actor, and think that you'd be great for this job. If you want to do it, great. If not, know that you're still on our list of people that we like and want to go to. So I think it has to make sense for the actor. Like, do you need to make your insurance this month? And doing a 1 day co-star on something is going to help you get your insurance. It may not be super strategic in getting you to the next level, but it's practical.
I think it's so practical, but I also think this. I think actors are pursuing their dreams of being actors because they freaking love acting. So even if you have one line, You still have to create a life of that character, connected, combined with yourself. You have to figure out all the pieces, a beginning, middle, and end. So from 1 line to 5 lines to 50 lines, to me, there's no insult. It's just about the artistry.
Hmm.
And I think people should have that outlook, because then they're not going to get that rigidity. Oh, I'm insulted now. Because you know what that does to me, and you can agree or not agree, but I think it just stops that flow. I'm not a religious person, but I am about that flow of that energy into the universe, that flow of just being malleable and being open to whatever comes your way. Just my
I'm 100% in that belief
yeah.
of being open to what the universe presents you. I do think that you have to evaluate it,
Hmm.
right? Like I think that there, I think that is, I think that there's wisdom in that, in evaluating, is this a good thing for me to do now? Does this does this lead me closer to where I want to go? Is this feeding me creatively? I do think there is, but yes, finding a way to do that and not getting insulted by thinking, oh, they're only bringing me back for this
Yeah.
one line co-star, because know that that is not, I mean, we know that we know, like if you've done a recurring guest star for us on another show and I ask you to do a co-star, I it's honestly because I think you're amazing and love you, and would love for you to do this. And I think it would make us look good to our producers. I think you'd have fun doing it. Like it'd be a paycheck, but know that I know that a day at scale is not
Right.
10 episodes of something. So you have to say, yeah, and then I think it becomes the up to the actor to decide whether it makes sense for them.
But I think that's a really important point that you made. Casting directors know actors' goals are always to do bigger jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're invited to the party at a smaller role, at a bigger than to the smaller, just come to the party, because
Mm-hmm.
they all know. I think that really resonated with what you just said there. Um, I adore you. Who is your favorite? Like, was there an actor that you feel like you found that they walked in the room and you're like, oh my God, my heart's pounding. I'm so excited this is going to happen. Or did you find someone and they didn't get the role, but you really wanted them to get that? That's two questions.
It's a great question, and and honestly, like I feel like I would leave someone out if I said that this is my favorite.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's part of what we do, and it's part of kind of why I get addicted to this job, is that you fall in love with people all the
Yeah.
time. Like you
Yeah.
get to fall in love with them, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're amazing. Like that has happened so many times
Oh,
on stuff that I've worked on, and that people that Shakira is one that I use a lot, just because that was, I was sort of, she was probably one of the first actors that I was sort of involved in kind of
oh,
suggesting her for a role. So Shakira Barrera is an actor who I first met her. She came in and auditioned for a freeform pilot that I was working on with Tanis Valley in 2016. It was the pilot of Siren, and that was sort of where I met. She came in and read, and like was one of several hundred women that came in and read for that part, and it wasn't the right fit for her for that role, but I really liked her. I was like, oh, this actor is good, and she's someone to remember. And then flash forward to the second season of Glow, we were looking to add the character of Yo-Yo, and like she was one of the people that like first came to my mind. I was like, you remember her? I went back and I watched her audition for Siren, and I was like, I mean, she was a little bit younger, or she read a little bit younger in the Siren audition. I was like, I don't know, maybe we should try her. And then I was still an associate at that point and working with Liz and Jen Houston, and sort of suggest, as an associate you can sort of suggest people, but it's not really your job at that point to decide who's going to come in the room. And so was able to sort of say, I remember her, I really like her, I think we should try her, she's got a dance background, here's some dance stuff she's done, because they were looking for this actor to be a break dancer, and they were looking for a Latinx actor. I was like, I think we should just try her. And Liz was like, sure, I think we should. Great, let's bring her in and see. And she came in, and like the minute she walked in the door and like did the scene, it was like done, 100%, we're done. Like this is great. And so when those moments happen, and it's like you're like someone that you thought of, or someone that you liked from another project, or I even have actors that I am in love with that have not been able to hire.
Yeah.
Like for whatever reason they haven't booked the job, but like they are always on that list of people that I wanted to try for it because I'm just so I love them so much, or find them so watchable, or connect to their work, or just there's something about them that I think is special. Like that's what I love about my job is falling in love with people all the time and getting to sort of have that excitement for the actor. One, because it's fun, because I'm a problem solver and I like to sort of hear all my puzzle pieces, where are they going to fit. And then it's also because I understand what the actor is, the journey that they're on, and it's like how, in whatever small way, do I have the opportunity to be a part in their journey to the next job or their first job. That, I mean, those are my favorite calls to make, are when we're hiring actors for their first job, because I remember what that was
Oh,
like.
so
You know,
exciting.
it's so exciting.
God, it's part of the addiction. Actors are addicted. You're addicted. We're all addicted.
Hmm.
Before we close out, can you imbue upon young actors who are listening out there three positive things that they could be doing to help push their career forward?
Hmm. That's great. I think one, be training
Hmm.
somewhere, be in class somewhere, be exercising your muscle, memorizing lines, getting into character, making choices, growing and strengthening your actor acting muscle. I think is super important, because then it's ready to be used when the time comes that you need to use it. My second piece of advice is not necessarily specifically career, but I think it leads to that. I think continue to work on yourself as a person,
Yes.
and continue to grow and become more self aware and understand who you are as a human being on the planet. Because what I think that will do is, the more you do that, and the more you know yourself, and the more you are able to access all the parts of you, the richer your work is going to be, because you're going to be able to bring all of that truthfulness of who you are. Every person is so unique, and every person has had such different experiences, and your experiences are going to inform, as a human, are going to inform your work in a way that is unique and singular, and is only you can do. So the more that you are able to sort of understand and develop you as a human, I think that's going to do nothing but help your career. And then my third piece, that's a hard one. I mean, because there's a couple. I mean, I think I guess it would be in terms of um, expanding your encyclopedia of creative work.
Mm.
You know, watch watch good stuff, watch bad stuff, watch as much, take experience as much art as you can,
Yeah, knowledge
right?
is power. Knowledge.
Yeah, and for me, it's what, because I even do that for a casting person, is like I have my genre. Like sci-fi is kind of my genre as a human being. Like that's, as a consumer, like that's what I would go
Interesting.
to,
Yeah.
right? Like period dramas, not really my thing. Like in
Oh,
terms of like what I love, like as a person, what I love. But it's important for me to watch those things and meet those actors and understand what else is being created over here, so that and I say that for actors, that when you're given the opportunity to, you might be a sci-fi person, but you have to go in on this, you know, period romantic drama, or something that you don't connect to, or fully understand. The more that you can sort of just be exposed to different works by different people and different genres,
genres.
I just think it's going to help you be able to understand how to approach material. Does
I
that make
thought
sense?
That makes total sense. Knowing your genres, knowing yourself, and training. It has been such a pleasure having you. I wish you an amazing 2021. We are right now, this is being recorded on the second to last day of 2020. And we're
Mm.
going to be connected for life because whoever you connect with during this time in 2020 is forever,
Yes, yes, I
forever,
agree.
forever, forever. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for coming. I'm wishing everyone a happy new year. Stay courteously aggressive out there and go for your dreams. Seth, thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Bye.